Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Busch Gardens Williamsburg recreation. In the last episode, we looked at this section of our Italy area of the park, where we made some good progress on some of these flats and little buildings. And today, as you can see, we have made a ton more progress in Italy. We built up pretty much all the rest of the rides with one major exception, obviously. And a lot of peeps have finally made their way over here to ride the rides, which is pretty exciting. So we're finally seeing a lot of activity over here. Really happy about that. So in addition to the couple of flat rides that we had going last time, we have a few more things over here in this section to keep peeps busy. We've got this ride here, Trade Wind, which is I guess this is the Music Express, and this is like some other kind of ride, Elephant Run. I really don't remember which one is which. I didn't ride either of them when I was there last time, and I didn't write down in my notes exactly what models they were. Based on the way I built this, pretty sure this is the Music Express, because I built it exactly the same way I built the Music Express in Dorney Park. So, anyway, not important. Unfortunate thing about these kinds of rides is that they always have a nice big roof over them, so you can't really get a good look inside to see what they look like. Similar to the one I did at Dorney, it's on kind of an incline, kind of like the real thing, which I think is pretty cool, but you probably won't even notice that if you're just casually looking at the park. That's fine. A couple other buildings in this area. We have another, I think this is more arcade games. We've got a restroom and a restaurant. Again, like I said before, I don't know if I'm super happy with the designs of some of these buildings. Mostly just kind of getting down first drafts, and I think hopefully later, if I have time, I'll be able to come back and tweak these a little bit. Especially these two buildings, they look a little bit plain, a little bit blocky. They could definitely use some more detailing. But if it winds up happening that I don't have time to come back and tweak them some more, then, you know, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, adding in the food stalls over here definitely attracted a lot of peeps. Everyone's having a great time getting something to eat. Do have a couple other cool track architecture uses over here, like the airport vertical coaster here for some lattice work, a little bit of like semi-shade over the seating areas, and then some single rail coaster for these little umbrellas. I think that turned out pretty nice. I think it looks pretty cute. And then some more hedges, obviously. So this area is really starting to pop, starting to come to life a bit. We also got Roman Rapids over here, the big river rapids ride. Still a lot of detailing to do on this, but we've got the basics down. The basic layout is in here. The beginnings of the station, the lift hill. These are always really fun to build. When you're doing them with this style in Open RCT2, where you're having to do those monorail guardrails and kind of sculpting out the path that way, rather than just using the vanilla river rapids, I think it always looks really cool when it's done, and you can do some really nice terrain work around it to make it look nice. So looking forward to finishing this up. I think it's gonna look awesome once I finally fill in these little corners here, put some bushes in. Gonna add some more Roman themed decoration around here, all that good stuff. So having built a couple of these before, I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of them a little bit. Probably want to do some more detailing here on the station as well, but that's for a future episode, I think. The main event, I guess, for this episode is Apollo's Chariot now has been completed. Deviated just a little bit from my original rough draft. I mentioned that the river over here that I had forgotten to pencil in. I have a little bit of that in here now, and putting stuff like that in does really help figure out exactly where things need to go for your layout. Takes away some of the guesswork, which is always nice. As far as the coaster itself goes, not a lot to it. You know, it's a B&M Hyper. It's, I believe, the first B&M Hyper. So it does B&M Hyper stuff. Just a lot of airtime hills, a little turnaround, a mid-course brake run. And that's kind of all there is to it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like I said earlier, it's a small ride, so it fits in pretty much wherever you need to go very nicely. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the way this thing turned out. One other nice little detail that I have over here, the queue and station. I'm pretty happy with these as well. So try to do another kind of circular tent thing for the initial queue area. Looks a little bit janky, but then again, so does the real life thing. These tents sort of look a little bit silly in the park itself. The queue line though, I'm really happy with. So we're using a couple different things here for this queue line to make it look the way it does. The roofs here are made out of mini golf station pieces. So over in the corner of the park, I've started accumulating some track architecture that I'm going to be reusing throughout the build as I go. So you can see my little hedge maze here for the different foliage bits, some other bits and pieces here. And I've got a little golf course over here that I've started. And if you use invisible color for the first and third colors here, you can have a nice flat square piece with no supports. It's a kind of a unique texture and it's very thin, so it's really good for a roof like this. I think it works out really well for this kind of queue support. And I'm also using these brand new support structure pieces that were recently added to Open RCT2. These are basically just pieces from the wooden coaster supports that are now standalone walls. So those are really awesome to see. Making good use of those throughout the build. Definitely going to use them a lot more in the future as I build stuff. They make some nice little walls here where add some nice bulk to the queue area, but it doesn't cover everything up, so you can still see peeps walking through the queue area. So you can still get that movement. So very nice to have those. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that used a whole lot actually, because Apollo's Chariot is really good as far as throughput goes. I'm running 3 trains on this, and none of them are ever even close to being full because peeps can't get in line quickly enough to fill up these trains. So I don't know if I want to take it down to 2 trains. It might be a little silly to do that when there's so many people here. Feels like this would be a day that they would have 3 trains running. I don't know. So I might just live with an empty queue, but that's something to think about. So that about wraps up this area of Italy. These sections are both pretty much done. Like I said, a little bit more detailing to do for Rowan Rapids. I do still want to clean up this part of the gardens over here a little bit. There is a large area over here I haven't even touched yet that's got some shops and restaurants. Need to pencil that in and get to that pretty soon before I forget about it. And then also Pantheon, of course, that's going to be coming up. But since it's kind of isolated by itself, I figured I didn't need to worry about it immediately. Oh, and we've also got the train station, of course, the railway. I've started penciling in where this is going to go. This has turned out to be kind of a pain point a little bit, because the way that I've laid my pass out, there's hardly any room here for the railroad to go through, and also this service road and all the pathing. So things are a little bit of a tight squeeze here and there. In most of the park so far, it hasn't really been an issue, because right here, you know, it's just a straight track, so nothing crazy there. It's pretty easy to fit everything around here, but in this part of the park, it's a little tight. So this is the kind of things you have to deal with when you're building stuff on a grid, I suppose. So definitely something for me to keep in mind going forward, that if the railroad happens to go anywhere that's not perfectly straight, you're going to have to run into some problems with pathing and making sure that everything fits together nicely. For future railroad construction, I'll have to keep that in mind, but we're not going to be constructing any more railroad for a while, because I've penciled in most of the track here on the terrain, and it's all just on the outside of the park. Won't really be affected by the pathing or rides very much at all after this point, except for this station here over in the Scotland area. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today, I think. Again, really pleased with how this Italy area is coming along. A little bit more tweaking to do, but I'm fairly happy with it, and it looks pretty sweet. So we're gonna try to finish this up, I think, by next episode, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching.